Here we go then. Our first diving final in Baku 2015. Friedhof Schiedl of Germany will get us underway, 18 years of age. He had just under 200 points carried forward, which puts him about 8 back. Strong, powerful figure at 5'9", 176, 78 kilos, generating plenty of power there.
7.5, 8. Total score for this dive, 67.
For the 3.5 somersault, 3.0, 67.50. Big cheer for the local hero, Artyom Danilov, born in St. Petersburg, but very much in Azerbaijan colours tonight.
Hopefully the crowd have got the message earlier. They must be silent for the dive. But they certainly erupt afterwards.
Judges' scores, 6, 6, 4.5, 5.5, 5.5, 6, 6. Total score for this dive,
54.25, 4.5 mark, pretty harsh.
Representing Croatia, Juraj Meltzer.
Juraj Meltzer next to dive from Croatia. His marks in the first 5 dives were fairly low, but his program of chosen dives was far better executed. Nice pike position there. Not a bad entry. Not a bad opening score, 53.30.
First of the British duo. Jordan Holden had a great start this morning and then was flying through until that final dive. So he is ranked higher than his position now, if that makes sense.
Really quick through those rotations, absolutely flew through them, but that produced its own problems in trying to get out of them and get into the entry position, and he didn't really succeed. He's smacking the water with the back of his legs. Unfortunately, he has carried on from where he left off, which was not the plan. 37.50, that is a setback for him. First of the two Italians, Andrea Casoli is the younger at 15 from Rome. It's fairly untidy in its finish as well.
These divers have already completed these dives this morning under competition environment, but it is added pressure now as they try and replicate that, better it if they can, in this final. You can see frustration there, doesn't even want to speak to his coach.
42.90. He's an interesting character. Really seeing the very best of him at all. He didn't start too quickly, but he is the World Junior Champion.
Great position on the end of the board. You've got that perfect spot where you get the maximum amount of spring, but without being in danger of losing your grip. You can see flying up into the air.
Looks like one of those performers that really looks good in whatever he does, and if he produces a technically impressive dive, then it's really going to score big marks. That, not really massive.
Nico Herzog, 8th position after those first 5 dives.
Again, quick rotations from quite a big, powerful diver at 5'10", 18 years of age, but
6, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5.
really wasn't too tidy,
Total scores for this
especially
dive,
on entering, where he
14.50.
collapsed in rather.
Representing
A couple of
Switzerland,
fours there,
Jonathan
he would be pleased to see ditched. Jonathan Sukov, second in terms of the score he carries forward, so he can overcome 1 or 2 slips we saw earlier today.
Played it safe on takeoff.
Nice clean entry though. Very rangy sort of figure, very slim.
7, 7.5,
Accentuates the entry when he gets it nice and clean.
Total for this dive,
58.50, 7.5s. It's pretty decent.
representing Great Britain, James Heatley.
James Heatley, the grandson of Sir Peter, top international diver and a real sporting icon in Scotland. He's from Edinburgh.
Should be happy with that dive. Wonderful position on the board. A good entry into the water. Look at the power
Judges scores, 8,
in his
7.5,
legs.
8, 7.5, 8, 7.5,
Really
7.
stretching.
Total for this dive, 59.80.
5'9", 175 his height, and making the full use of it all.
Ruslan Christopher.
An 8 there, counting, 59.80.
So the second Italian to go, Ruslan Cristofori, ranked 3rd after those 5 compulsory dives that started off this morning's qualifiers.
With that kinetic taping up on his shoulder. Whipped through those rotations. Knee support as well. Patched up out there.
Judges scores, 6, 5, 4, 4, 4, 5, 3.5.
Disappointing start for him though.
39.
39.
Representing Russian Federation, Nikita Schlecker.
Now we get down to the 2 Russians, starting with Nikita Schlecher. 6th after you count the first compulsory dives that are carried over.
Looked like he went slightly over the centre line there. Tiny bit of over rotation
Judges scores, 7,
for the
6.5, 7,
in
7.5,
2nd position going into this.
7.5. Total
Don't
score
forget,
for
only
this
6th
dive,
after the
65.10.
basic dives.
Representing Russian Federation,
65.1. Judges liked it.
Now, Ilya Molchanov set all the standards in the first session today, the preliminary round. The 18-year-old is a world synchronized junior championship silver. Like an upgrade. Worked well to keep his shape on entry. Quick rotations still, but had the strength. At 18 is a mature athlete. Into the tuck. And look at him work to get a good entry position.
On this angle, he looked very straight indeed on that entry. Not quite getting his hands exactly together to make it as smooth as it could be.
Nice suits.
Well, it looks like our judges have dressed up for this evening's occasion, but the electronic scoring not quite working, so a 7.5 from the judge on the right-hand side.
They have got an override, as it were, on the computers at poolside, so they can just enter that one to make the whole thing work. A little bit of an extra weight there, but what a cracking start from Molchanov. 2 7.5s and an 8, 71.30. That's a big opening bid. Molchanov leads. Seidel of Germany, Schleicher, the Russian, is third. James Heatley of Great Britain, fourth. But early stages, but Molchanov has opened up quite a lead at the top, I can tell you.
He really has set that bar high for his competitors to try and chase. Fridtjof Seidel of Germany, currently in second. Going just over the vertical. We have a solid takeoff. Good position on the end of the board there. Trying to point his toes in that tuck position.
6, 4.5, 4.5, 5, 6.5, 5. The total score for this dive, 45.
Well, 5s from the judges. It's not what he's going to be hoping for if he wants to stay in that silver medal position. Artyom Danilov, you heard the crowd cheering. Now they need to be quiet. But they can explode again afterwards. It's wonderful to see such home support for the Azerbaijani.
Judges' scores, 7, 6.
Well, this is what the organisers hoped for, one of the aims anyway, that by having these European Games here in Azerbaijan, they could really boost their own levels of sporting performance. And the adopted Azeri here, coming in with a good contribution, 54.60.
Solid 7s across the board.
Representing
Next up for Croatia, Juraj Melsa. Currently the bottom of the table, but we've still got 4 dives for each of these athletes, so he won't be worrying just yet.
That really didn't go to plan at all. Couldn't get himself into a good entry position through those rotations, and then just kept on going and gave the water a bit of a smack on his entry there.
5. Total score for this dive, 44.95.
44.95.
Representing Great Britain, Jordan Holden.
Jordan Holden looked as though he was really going to be a contender, but ended the first session and started the second with 2 below par efforts. Needs to get his show on the road here. Back 2.5 somersault, 3.0. Looks as though he's almost trying too hard there, trying to really work the dive all the way through.
Well, he had such an impressive qualification until his final dive, dive number 12. So he knows he can. He knows he can get those scores in the 6s, 7s, even up into the high 7s and 8s, but he's not quite finding his groove. 43.5.
He's learning about the pressure of competition the hard way. Andrea Kosoli in 6th place.
It's a challenging dive, 3.5 somersaults to squeeze into such a short space.
Got to generate the pace off the board, but then you've got to stop it and get rock solid for the right entry. And he didn't manage that. 36 points, 3 fours.
Fours are not going to be good enough in this final four podium finish unless he does something significant. Here's an athlete we expect to move up through these rounds. He did that earlier. Currently down in 8th.
Well, his combined tariff is lower than some. He starts with 2.6 dives, and then his penultimate is 2.3. So he needs to get his execution levels right up there. This looks a bit more encouraging for him.
Well, the judges are agreeing with you. 8s across the board are the used scores.
Nico Herzog from Germany. Another tall, strong diver in the German tradition.
Taking his time. The back 2.5 somersault. Didn't quite manage to get into that final extended taut position that the judges are looking for.
A bit jerky, nothing really smooth about it, kicking out at the end there to try to just work a good position. And gets 4s.
Representing Switzerland, Jonathan Sukow.
Next up, Jonathan Sukow of Switzerland, ranked 5th after 6 dives, but just 1 that we have seen this evening.
There will be mistakes in this competition. We've seen that. Consistency is going to get you on the podium rather than a couple of blinding dives. Nearly nice. Looked as though it was going to be good. Just not sure about how he completed his movement.
From that angle, he looked very tight in his tuck.
7, 7, 7, 5.5, 6.5, 6.5, 6.
62. There's a 5.5 in there, so that's where the concerns came in.
Straight to analysis with his coach.
James Heatley, 18-year-old from Edinburgh, representing Great Britain. Commonwealth Games was a massive experience for him in Scotland, where he's from. 9th at 1 metre.
Well, his supporters are enjoying it. Trying to give these 2 British athletes in the final plenty of encouragement. You can see a few Union Jacks dotted about the crowd.
Plenty of height he generates with his power, but that entry was still rotating. 43.50. It's all right for the coach to say now.
Representing Italy, Christopher.
Positive encouragement. So ranked 9th, Ruslan Cristofori. We're going to expect some better performances from him to move him up.
Again, rather untidy. He's got fairly ambitious 5-dive program. This is a 3.2, that's his highest.
So much to fit in Forward 2.5 somersault, 1 twist, and he's just running out of time to get into that vertical, crucial position. So only a 44.8. Some scores as low as 4.
Nikita Schleker from the Russian Federation. 2 to go in this second round of 5. 3.0 here. Again, the quick rotations, but again, the question mark, not from those fans, on the entry. Nice takeoff, really committed dive.
Got his hands.
Yeah, just good to see the ankles just going over there. Just spoilt it, but 64.50 still keeps the scoreboard rattling along. Now, Ilya Molchanov streaking away into a strong lead. Really hasn't put a foot wrong, probably since he got out of bed this morning.
I think he's going to continue to extend that lead if he continues diving with such maturity.
Senior level experience will come to the fore here. 61.50, not dazzling, but good consistent scoring. 2 of 5 rounds complete. Let's have a look. Molchanov, 3.41 plays 3.29. Gaps starting to emerge right the way through. 2 Russians leading, Switzerland in the bronze position. The rest have 3 dives to get their skates on.
So we now start round 3 of 5. This evening's exciting men's 1 meter springboard final. Fritjof Seidel of Germany starting us off again.
Relaxed, that, especially in all the circumstances.
So you see him launching himself at that height, hugging his knees as close as he can. What a bit of a rewind.
He's got a strange program. He's got a 2.3 here, then he's got 2 stonking 3.6 and 3.4s. Here comes the pride of Azerbaijan at the moment, 7th. Making an impact, he got into the final, that was the first job. And he's putting on a decent show for the local crowd here. Back 2.5 somersault tucked, 3.0. Messi.
Crowd showing their support, but I don't think their support is going to be enough for Danilov. You can see the coaches and the judges watching every minute movement. They are not going to be forgiving with that performance. 45 in total, averaging 5s. He needs more.
Juraj Melsa, next up from Croatia. Currently bringing up the field in this final.
I think that will be an improvement on his previous dive. He scored 4.5 and 5s from the judges, so let's see if they think he's executed this one a little smoother.
Total score for this dive, 54.
And it looks like they think he has, awarding him a total of 54 once multiplied by that difficulty of 3.0.
Jordan Holden. Well, he promised a lot earlier today. He's always looked a bit serious throughout the competition. Needs to keep his spirits up as well as his performance.
That was an improvement. He might be finding his groove. He did improve throughout the qualification rounds of 10 dives. He hasn't got time to take so long to warm up this time, with just 5 in this final.
Score for this dive, 66.
So that's an improvement.
Representing Italy, Andrea Cossoli.
Younger of the two Italians, which is pretty relevant in a junior competition. Andrea Cossoli with a low tariff 2.3, back 1.5 somersault, piked. Rest of his dives are 2 3s, a 3-1, and the opening 2.6. So sometimes the divers really aren't far enough along in their career to have confidently assembled 5 or 6 higher tariff dives.
Total score for this dive, 42.55.
Better to do what you can do decently. 42.55.
Representing Denmark, Andreas Larsen.
Andreas Larsen for Denmark up next. Creeping up through the rankings. He started down in 10th. He's now up to 6th position. Can he continue to move in that direction? See the slow motion, the advantage that we have, the coaches don't. You can see his body was twisted, it wasn't completely straight going in.
6.5, 6, 6, 6. Total score for this dive, 57.35.
57.35, a little bit of a drop from his last.
Representing Germany, Nico Herzog.
For Germany, Nico Herzog. Another 3.0 tariff dive, his reverse 2.5 somersault. Gets plenty of bounce on that springboard.
Judges score 7.5, 7.5,
71 kilograms.
Total score for this dive.
It's a good size for a diver. Some of the Chinese and Mexicans, Cubans you see around are very, very slim and compact.
Next up, Jonathan Sukow of Switzerland, currently in 3rd.
Now, there were gaps in the medal positions, and he's got to try and extend his lead if he can here.
Might well have helped him. It was only difficulty of 2.3 though, so he won't have that advantage of the scores being multiplied by a high number. We'll be looking for some generous scores.
He brought the second best points tally from the limited difficulty dives earlier into this. Only down in the 6.5s for that.
Next up, into 5th position, James Heatley for Great Britain.
This is another 3.0 dive for him.
Well, that support by the British contingent, really adding to the atmosphere in the Aquatic Centre tonight.
Losing a bit of shape in his diving as the day has worn on. Certainly not a question of not being able to do it, it's doing it. 55.50.
Representing Italy.
It was better though.
Ruslan Cristofori for Italy in 8th position before this dive. We'll be looking for something quite special for these last 3 dives. I'm not sure that will count as special enough to move him significantly in the right direction of this leaderboard.
To the tuck position. Coming out of it was the issue.
6, 5, 6, 5.5. Total score for this dive, 52.50.
Now we have the 2 Russians, the 52.50 for Cristofori.
Representing Russian Federation,
Russian at number 1 in the silver medal position at the moment, Nikita Schleker. He has back 2.5 somersault, 3.0. All his remaining dives are 3.0.
I think the Russians are going to continue to dominate throughout this final. That was a good execution.
Yes, he's looking the part here. Don't know how well he gets on with Ilya Molchanov, but it could be big mates, but he's not going to be doing him any favours here. 73.50, 3.8, good work. Now, here's the leader in the gold medal position. Ilya Molchanov with a back 2.5 somersault, 3.0. He's still got a 3.2 in his locker.
I think he's just reacted to that good previous dive by his teammate.
I think you're right. First sign of fallibility here. He's been so consistent, so clean. Not quite perfect with the entry.
Still in the 60s, just 6.5
But
scores.
it's cost him the lead. The Russians have swapped places. Here is the leaderboard, 3 of 5 rounds completed. Russia 1 and 2, and Sukov of Switzerland has opened up a 5-point and more gap. Kosoli at the moment bringing up the back.
Ladies and gentlemen,
2 to jump in what has been a diving day of grand national proportions. Here we go again. Top of round 4. Seidel, the German, to lead us off.
And that was a 3.6 difficulty. You can see that forward 2.5 somersault, 2 twists for the German.
6, 7, 6,
Lot to squeeze in. He's doing his best to squeeze his position, getting that head as close to his knees as possible. Not quite getting his hands back together though before entering the water.
Gave it the full face of the bat. Gets 7 scoring there, 62.40.
Danilov, respectable in 7th.
Just that last dive let him down a little bit. See if he can get back on track. Reverse 2.5 somersault, 3.0 for the man representing the host nation.
Even if he doesn't go away with a medal, he's going to go away with memories of a wonderful experience, competing in front of an enthusiastic home crowd.
Going to go away an awful lot better known in Azerbaijan, that is for certain. Big spotlight on him. 58.50. That was an improvement.
Representing Croatia,
Jurav Melcer of Croatia. He's moved up one position, now in 11th. See if he can move up again with this reverse 2.5 somersault. Tucking those knees really tight to his chest.
Judges score 6, 6.5, 5, 5.5,
Into extension.
5, 6.5.
Smooth entry that you need for those high scores.
51.
So only averaging out as a 51 total.
Representing Great Britain, Jordan Holden.
Jordan Holden. An up and down day for a diver, you could say. Current ranking 8th. What's he got for us here with his inward 2.5 somersault tucked? 3.1.
That was the highest level of difficulty dive he's entered into this final. One which he would hope to use to gain maximum points. The more difficult the dive, the higher the number the judges' scores are multiplied by.
6, 7, 5.5, 6.5, 7. Total score for this
Just
dive,
want to see him
58.90.
reflect what he can really do. But learning consistency is a big factor in this sport.
Andrea Cusoli.
Andrea Cusoli is now in that trailing position, hoping to get himself out of that. Bit of over-rotation on entry, not hitting that vertical desired position that the judges are after.
6, 6.5, 5.5, 6.5, 6.5, 6. Total score for this dive, 55.
Look of effort on his face as well.
Moved up from the 14 to 15 age category.
Andreas Larsen.
Andreas Larsen might just miss out, so he needs to come up near his winning best here and put a bit of pressure on the rest. But this is just a 2.3 tariff dive at not the best time.
Well, he kept it safe, so he's going to need some good high scores from the judges when he's not got that advantage of a high score to multiply it by. But he's been consistently moving up. He's gone from 10th, 8th, 6th into 4th before that.
Bit of pace judgment, I think, is perhaps his issue at the moment.
Representing Germany, Nico Herzog.
Nico Herzog of Germany, 10th at the moment. Forward 2.5 somersault, 1 twist. Didn't really get through it, did he?
Left himself too much to do. Not enough time to do it in.
5.5, 4.5, 4.5, 5, 4.5, 4, 5.5. Total score
Just to
for this
get
dive,
into an upright position. It was an under rotation for the German.
Representing Switzerland, Jonathan Sukov.
Now the boy from Geneva in Switzerland, Jonathan Sukov, is 2 dives away from a place on the podium. Reverse 2.5 somersault, 3.0, needs all that composure. Maybe the pressure is beginning to show because that was an untidy finish.
Didn't look like an assertive takeoff either for the Swiss. To do the best to recover it in the air, but wasn't that much he could do.
Started poorly, got worse. Oh, 3.5s at a stage like that when you're diving for a bronze, pretty fatal.
Well, those behind him, such as James Heatley, about to dive now, will be encouraged by that and might see there's still a chance of a medal with 2 dives left to go for the Brit.
Reverse 2.5 somersault, 3.0. He's got 2 decent tariff dives left to go. Here's the first of them. Don't be too swayed by his fan club. Some good work in there. Maybe not quite the entry.
Well, that is confirmed. It is his best dive yet. 61.5. Ruslan Cristofori of Italy had a much better competition this morning. He's dropped off the pace a bit. He's going to be doing his best to move up on those rankings. He's got 1 dive left to do, and the results from this one still to learn.
7, 6.5, 6.5, 6, 6.
They're on their 14th competitive dive of the day. I think is worth emphasising. These are technically junior divers, competitors.
Well, now we take it to the next level. Nikita Schleicher up into 1st place at the moment.
He was the Russian who kept his nerve and form.
Well, he's putting on the pressure on his teammate with that dive. He's got gets to get that dive out the way first. All he can do is concentrate on his own performance and see if Molchanov can react to it. 70.50. He's giving his teammate something to work towards.
Now, over to you, old boy, he says. Ilya Molchanov just let his very high standards slip with the previous dive. What's he got now? It's a bit more like it. This is going to go to the final round. The Russians can't lose at the moment, not in terms of being in the medals, it would seem. Better. Just to see that his head position there was a bit awry, just not quite holding the form right through his programme.
No, 64 he'll have to settle with, and that's going to keep him in 2nd place.
This should be an interesting leaderboard when we get it. Schleicher moves ahead at the top, Molchanov in 2nd, but it's James Heatley coming up on the blind side to put himself 2.5 points clear in the bronze medal position. That's been a change, all right. 1 round left to go in this 1 metre springboard final.
Well, it just goes to show what difference 1 round can make. This is the final one to see who is going to be crowned European Games champion. This men's 1 metre springboard.
Well, he's come right up the field. 4th place. He's going to have a long wait after this. 3.4 in with 2.5 somersault. He could still improve his 4th place here. Got to get it right. I don't really think he's going to cash in all the way with his high multiplier. Still be a respectable total, but really the chance was there, but he had to absolutely grab it. Good pike position. Not so sure about the rest of it. Seidel's competitive day is over. 52.70, probably not enough, but I wouldn't write anything off the way these dives have been unfolding.
And the final chance for Artyom Danilov to impress this home crowd. He stayed in 7th position, being consistent throughout these 4 earlier rounds. His final dive left to impress.
Good finish. Now Danilov from St. Petersburg in the colours of Azerbaijan, the hosts.
The judges score 7, 7, 6.5, 6, 6, 7, 7.
Has shown that he can hold his own at this level. 53.30 for the Azeri to finish with.
Representing Croatia.
Juraj Melcer of Croatia. He's going to want to just finish on a good note after struggling a bit in this final.
Looks okay, that was pretty tidy. Not a bad sign-off. Just a 2.5 tariff.
Judges score 6, 8, 7, 7, 7, 6.5, 7.5. Total score for this
We need good scores. If you multiply it by 2.5.
The spread there, 6 to 8 from the judges. 52.50 he ends up with. I see the coaches coming in there and saying, well done, whatever. Jordan Holden, 6th, been up and down that leaderboard a bit. What's he got to sign off?
Well, he's moved gradually up after not a great opening dive in the final. So he's moved up another position. He left himself with a lot of work to do at the end.
Judges score 5.5, 5, 5, 6, 5.5, 6, 6.
Take away the experience here. He's learned that you've got to put the whole programme together, but he has shown he's got something to offer.
Representing Italy, Andrea Casoli.
Next up, Italians, Andrea Casoli.
15 years of age. Ends up with a 3.1 tariff inward 2.5 somersault. Start the final two strongly. We've done his best to rally towards the end.
5.5, 6, 6. Total score for this dive, 52.70. A round of applause for Andrea Casoli.
52.70. Nothing to set the world on fire, but a strong finish for the Italian.
Andreas Larsson, 5th. World Junior Champion in 2014 at 1 metre.
That looked more like the form we would expect from him. He just didn't ever seem to quite get going in this morning's qualifiers. He's had to carry those scores through to the final with him, so they have haunted him into this final.
Got the style, there's no doubt about that. Just making sure that it counts as much as possible.
Representing Germany, Nico Herzog.
Nico Herzog of Germany with his final dive of the competition.
3.1, the inward 2.5. Nice entry.
He really does take his time on the end of that springboard. I think this time it's paid off.
7-8. Total score for this dive, 66.65. Ladies and gentlemen,
Good way to finish. 66.65 for the big German.
He's very happy with that.
Jonathan Sukov must be thinking what might have been. He was in the bronze medal position until the last dive, which went all over the place. Ends with a forward 1.5 somersault, 2 twists, worth 2.6. Gets out of the water looking a little dejected, but that's a much, much better reflection of what he could do.
63.70. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Jonathan Sukov.
63.70. If only he'd performed anything close to that on his last dive, he would be likely to be standing on that podium.
Now, James Heatley has pulled himself up into the bronze medal position. He's got a big inward 2.5 somersault, 3.1 degree of difficulty dive, and if he can nail this one, he will be on the podium. Big, big moment in his life.
And is that enough? He managed to perform under the pressure. He would have known the position that he was in going into that final dive. Final dive of 15 that they have completed today.
Well, grandfather Sir Peter, the famous Scottish diver, sees his grandson come up with 60.45 and a big smile and a bit of a wait before everything is confirmed, but he's had a good day.
Ruslan Cristofori, he's been struggling. He was much better form earlier today. But it really is endurance for these youngsters. Well, he put everything into it for that final and 15th dive of the day. Can you believe that? 15 dives under this tough competition environment.
7 total score for this dive, 62. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Ruslan Cristofori.
A total of 62. Best score he's got, and a nice way to finish his final.
Now we come down to the business end, 2 to go. Here is the man in gold medal position. Heatley has the bronze in his bag. This is for gold. No shirking, no hanging back.
Now he will just have to wait and see if his competitor and teammate can better that, but he'll have to significantly better that, because Schleicher performed when he needed to. 70.5 for his final dive. He's happy with that.
3 storming dives to end his programme. Molchanov looked as though he was the gold medal favourite. The silver is there for him. Reverse 2.5 somersault, 3.0. that's not going to take the medal away from his compatriot. Not the gold, anyway.
He will know that as soon as he was halfway through that dive. I expect he could tell it wasn't going to be enough. There we go, into the entry, and it wasn't smooth enough for a gold.
He gets the silver, Molchanov. It might have been gold, but he has to cede to Schleicher, and Heatley from Great Britain gets a bronze. Two Russians congratulate or commiserate, depending on your perspective, but it's going to be the Russian Federation's anthem that rings around the aquatic centre. Nikita Schleicher gets a convincing gold. Look at that gap, 30+ points. Molchanov the silver, James Heatley of Great Britain gets the bronze.